Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am scrapbooking this picture of this huge John Deere tractor that we saw driving down the road. And I am going to be using some fun Brutus Monroe products. I have the fall floral stamp set. I have what's left of my fall floral card panels. I pulled out some shrink film, some vellum, some watercolor paper, some embossing powder. I have something kind of in my head, so let's see what I can do. Alright guys, so I am starting off with some vellum, and I'm using my stamp positioner tool to go ahead and stamp on that. Now the beauty of a stamp positioner tool is that it will allow you to stamp multiple times in the same exact spot, so you don't have to worry about lining it up. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I like to use a stamp positioner tool. Man, say that like 5 times fast. That's even more difficult than what is that little thing, that little tongue twister that we used to say when we were kids? Sally sells seashells by the seashore. See, I can say that one, but stamp positioner tool, that one's the tough one. So I went ahead and stamped out this sunflower 4 different times, and I'm using my Brutus Monroe embossing ink to stamp it out. Now, I could have done this one at a time, but I thought that this would save me a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, because I am going to use my gilded embossing powder over top of this vellum. Now, I'm going to be straight up honest with you guys. I emboss over top of cardstock. I don't have a special embossing thing. I know that there are like embossing trays and things like that. I just don't even bother. I just use a piece of cardstock. I wipe off the cardstock with my Swiffer when I'm finished, and I just move on. That might not be the most popular or the most beautiful way to emboss, but it works for me, so that's what I'm doing. Now, I am using my heat gun to heat this up. Look at that magic happen, people. Look at it happen. Oh my goodness, I love embossing so much. I could literally watch embossing videos and stencil reveal videos all day long and be ridiculously happy with it. Let me know down below if you feel the same way, because it makes my soul happy. Alright, so now I'm going to put that embossing powder back in my little dish, and I wiped it away with my hand. I didn't even bother with the Swiffer that time. Now, I did stamp kind of lightly the sunflowers on some, I don't know if I used cardstock or Aqua Pigment paper. I'm not sure which one I used, you guys. But I'm just going to go ahead and ink up these little guys. And I will stamp over them again, so I'm not too concerned that my sunflowers are looking funky. I'm not concerned that I'm kind of being a slob with my watercoloring right here. It's not bothering me, and it shouldn't bother you either, because I'm really, really happy with the results once I finished with it. So I am using a combination of Aqua Pigments and other watercolors from my stash, and what that's going to do is allow me to get a nice good color on here, so that I have some browns, some yellows, some oranges, and it's just going to turn out great. My whole plan is to have a variety of sunflowers on this layout, because for some reason, like, I look at this John Deere tractor that was driving down the highway, and tractors make me think of farms, and farms make me think of sunflowers and corn. And I know that that might sound ridiculous, but that's where my mind goes, so that's where this is going to happen. And I have the sunflower stamps, and it worked out great. Do I really want to put corn on this layout? Probably not. Side note, we don't say corn in our household, we say carn. But I felt like if I was told you I thought of sunflowers and carn on a farm, you would think I was out of my mind. But yeah, there it is. So I am going to use my heat tool to dry these sunflowers a little bit. And that is because I am going to emboss over top of them. And if I would have embossed over the wet, the embossing powder would have stuck to it and it would have been a whole big hot mess. We don't need that to happen. We need like good embossing. So I am going to just go ahead and stamp right over top of where I had stamped before. And now what I had done was just turned my paper. So I am stamping over what I have already stamped. Now, as you can see, some of the stamping was a little bit darker than other stamping, but it doesn't really matter, you guys. It's going to all be covered up and it's going to turn out great. Or at least I think it turns out great. You might be thinking I'm a maniac and you're looking at this and being like, holy Lord, Sandy, you were doing this all wrong. But you know what? It works, right? So I think it's less about the technique and more about if it works or not, right? Like maybe there's a better way or a different way to do this. But for me, this technique worked and I loved it. And that's what matters. So play with your products, see what you can see, try out new things. And if it works for you, then love it and do it. Who cares if somebody else does it a different way, right? Like it's not about following somebody's technique. It's about making a project that you're happy with. So as you can see, I am now going to fussy cut everything out. So I am fussy cutting these vellum sunflowers. Now, when you fussy cut, you want to hold your scissor hand as still as possible. As you can see, my scissor hand moves a little bit, but you do want to hold it as still as possible. Now, I went ahead and foiled my card panels, and oh my goodness, they are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So I have kind of like the kind of fall florally bits with the animals, and I did 2 of those because I'm going to treat that as one long piece on my scrapbook layout. Now these are sized for cards, you guys, so you could foil and have an instantaneous card background. But I am more of a scrapbooker than a card maker, even though I do enjoy the occasional card. So I'm going with that. Now I've got this textured khaki cardstock that I am going to go ahead and I sprinkled some chroma mist on it. And now I'm going to make my card panels into a panel of paper. So I have them and I'm trying to line them up. I'm going to figure out what I want to do with them. I do washi tape these 2 together so that they're one continuous card panel. And that's going to allow me to kind of eyeball and figure out where exactly I want that panel to be on my page. And don't worry, I'm going to cover up that gap right there. I grabbed some washi from my stash and I'm going to layer it twice. Now this is a good trick to do with washi if it's not giving you the oomph that you were hoping for. Line it up and layer it twice or even 3 times. That way you're going to get that nice bold color of whatever your washi is, and it's going to be more of a statement instead of a translucent thing that kind of sinks into your background. Now I do matte my photo, and I am going to also kind of adhere it to the card panel. I'm just trying to figure out which way I want the leaves to look, because you could see that I was putting the photo over top of it, and I was like, how's this going to work? So I've got my sunflowers all fussy cut out. I've got my watercolored ones. I've got my vellum ones. I've also got my shrink film ones. So I did stamp the sunflowers on shrink film and I let the ink dry, and then I went ahead and shrunk it with my heat tool. For some reason I lost the video of that, which really sucks because I love watching shrink plastic melt down into its size. So like I said, I love watching stencil reveals and embossing, and I also love watching shrink plastic. I don't know if I could watch that as much as stencil reveals and embossing, but it is fun.
So I went ahead and did that as well. And what that's going to do is allow me to have a variety of different sunflowers in my clusters. So I am going to use some liquid adhesive to put the shrink plastic sunflowers down. And that is going to give me a little pop of darkness. And you might think that that's a little bit weird for this layout, but I wanted a contrast. Like, I want it bright and light and fun, and I also wanted some pops of darkness, because I feel what that does is it gives the layout a balance color wise, and your layout isn't just like this big wow bam 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 feast for the eyes. There's more of a resting place, and I kind of feel that that's what has happened with the shrink plastic. It's a little bit of a neutral to kind of tone it back a little bit, because sunflowers can be a very in your face kind of thing, you guys. They're huge, right? Like, sunflowers are huge and they are in your face. So trying to tone that down just a little bit. Now I'm going to pull out some letter stickers from my stash, and you might be surprised, or you might not be, that I am spelling out John Deere. Now, I'm not entirely enthused with the style of J right here from my letter sticker, but I'm going with it. I'm not going to let this ruin how I feel about the layout, because I am loving the sunflowers and the variety of textures that the sunflowers are giving me. And I'm also loving that animal card panel with like the fall florally bits. Like, that's just making my heart happy. And then on top of that, I've got like foil on top of foil, and this is why I feel like I needed that kind of neutrally bit with the shrink plastic, because foil on top of foil can be a lot, you guys. Like, it can be a lot, but I love it. And I'm not going to let that one little J screw up the love that I have for this layout. And I think that that's probably a lesson we all can learn. Like, if there's one tiny little thing that you're not just absolutely enthused over, don't let that ruin your entire layout. Like, I'm not going to let that J ruin my entire layout, because look at this layout, you guys. Look at those sunflowers. That stamp set with that sunflower, holy Moses. Like, you need it in your life, right? You definitely do. So now I'm going to add a couple more dots from the Chroma Mist, because I need a little bit more of the dark over on this side. I seem to have covered that up with my card panels. So there it is, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Side note, if you don't like to fussy cut, there are dies that match the Fall Florals stamp set. You can get the dies so you don't have to fussy cut. Just thought I should mention that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.